Our next stop, Edmonton in Alberta, Canada, where I'm stopping to refuel on this environmental journey. Now, everyone expects high-grade fuel to keep our engines running clean, but did you know down below, underground, and I mean deep underground, is new technology to keep our environment running clean as well? Let's take a look. You don't see them hidden beneath gas stations and convenience stores, but across North America, over 500,000 underground storage tanks store petroleum or hazardous substances. The greatest potential threat from this is a leak that could ultimately seep into the soil and contaminate groundwater, the source of drinking water for nearly half of all Americans.
We're concerned about the product leaking out into the environment, which would contaminate soils, contaminate our waters.
The real reason for storage of underground is the extreme fire and explosion hazard that these motor vehicle fuels pose to both property and people. What that created, however, is an environmental problem with underground storage tanks leaking into the environment due to both internal and external corrosion.
Historically, most underground storage tanks were made of bare steel, which were likely to corrode over time, allowing hazardous contents to leak into the environment. But that all changed with the introduction of fiber-reinforced plastic in the construction of these underground tanks for storing petroleum.
Since fiberglass reinforced plastic underground storage tanks were introduced into the market in the 1970s and 1980s, this problem essentially has been solved through these environmentally sensitive storage products now being the dominant choice by over 29 of 30 major fuel retailers in North America.
And nowhere are you going to find more underground fiberglass tanks above ground than right here at one of 6 manufacturing facilities of ZCL Composites in Edmonton. In fact, in the last 30 years since the company started, over 200,000 of these environmentally friendly tanks have been installed and shipped across North America.
As you can see here, we've got tanks that range from 6,000 gallons all the way up to 8,000 gallons, and we make tanks as big as 129,000 gallons.
And these tanks are built to fit what's needed, whether it's a 4,000 gallon tank or how about a 125,000 gallon tank that towers 50 feet above me, the size of a 5-story building.
Over the last 40 years, the market has transformed from essentially a steel underground storage tank market to fiberglass. ZCL is the largest fiberglass tank supplier in North America with 6 manufacturing locations. If you drive in and fill up your car with retail motor vehicle fuels today, you have a very high probability that one of ZCL's products is underground in service storing the motor vehicle fuel.
It all starts here at the ZCL manufacturing facility in Edmonton, one of 6 production facilities in North America, where leak prevention technology is the result of state-of-the-art testing and research.
We do quite a bit of testing at the factory here, John, just to ensure that our tanks adhere to our quality standards. Behind me, as you can see, is the brining station that we fill our tanks with to make sure that there's no leaks, either leaving the factory or in the field. We use vacuum pressure testing to make sure that when it gets installed, it can withhold any mechanical pressures or external forces on the tank. And we use static pressure testing to make sure that the tank will meet the pressure requirements out in the field.
The end result? A lightweight, superior fiberglass tank that simply will not corrode, with a lower carbon footprint than tanks made from both steel and concrete. In addition to the fuel market, this same tank storage technology is also being introduced to protect and preserve our precious water resources.
We're trying to provide owners and operators of both fuel storage systems and water recycling and reuse systems the peace of mind that they can be assured that the underground environment is being protected from environmental contamination and that our products are being effectively used for the recycling and reuse of these scarce water resources.
By having a double-walled tanks, we can monitor it so that we can make sure that it's not leaking into the ground and water's not leaking into the product, which is a safety for the customer as well.
In our water business, our theme is that water is the next scarce resource, and that to preserve and protect fresh water resources, it's imperative that we adopt recycling and reuse systems, all of which involve large capacity storage systems, and thus our tanks as part of that system.
It's all about protecting the environment from potential groundwater contamination and conserving our scarce freshwater resources. So, whatever fuel we don't use up here remains safely stored down there. Our next stop